All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Very excited to be with you, not only because with the community here, but because of something else. And you know what that is? I am using a new camera. Fingers crossed. I hope you guys tell me your feedback on the image, how it looks, and all that stuff. So, and also, I want to make sure, guys, if you can hear me, I will greatly appreciate if you can just give me a thumbs up because I'm switching some things around and I want to make sure that you are able to hear me. And speaking of hearing, because last time I told you I will look into that period of 3 minutes, whatever that was, that one muted, you know, that was me made a mistake. So we don't blame anybody else. It was my responsibility, my mistake. When I plugged in the computer, automatically it muted, and I forget to do that. So it was my mistake, and I apologize for that, guys. So thank you very much for being here. Very, very excited to be with you. Also about the topic I'm going to be talking about today, because it goes beyond just Britain or the UK. We're talking about Europe in its entirety. And once you start seeing economies degrading one by one, that gives you an idea where things are headed. So, but before I'll talk about all that stuff, let me say hi to my community here. YT, good to see you as always with a smiling sign. Good to see you. Timeline Dunkley, as always from New York City. Fuchsia Collection, you put, yes, we're screwed. I see your point. And you know what, guys? That doesn't apply just in the UK. We are here also, and I'm going to be sharing some stuff with you about that. Timeline Dunkley, what do I do? That's my title on the thumbnail. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And I will share this later on when I open up the floor for questions. Truth Seeker, good to see you. Hamad Sidi, as always. John Smith, good to see you. Farhad Razavi, Abdul Falwan, Rampelson 01, good to see you. Sifami, good to see you. Massian Dorcier, as always. Seabor Ninja, good to see you, and good afternoon to you as well. Who else is here? I'm scrolling down. Jerome Lazarus, good to see you. Anyway, guys, let's get into our topic here, because I got a lot to cover into this, including, yes, well, I'm gonna skip it, including the dark side of Britain's history. And I'm gonna do brief stuff, but I have links for you. Those are academic references that I digged into, and I'm gonna share all this with you. And also, I don't want to forget, I hope you guys enjoyed my recent conversation with Jerry Gray. It was phenomenal. I'm gonna have him back towards the end of the month. I nothing confirmed yet, but I will. I'm gonna have him back. So he's a decent man, an honest one. I kind of looked him up and checked a few things, and I enjoyed my conversation with him. I am working on a particular two other interviews, coordinating with there's gonna be two individuals on the channel, like a small panel, and that's why usually I won't do more than two individuals. And this will be of great interest to you because of the not only the guests, but the nature of the topic. Of course, you guys send me names to reach out to. I do. I send emails. I don't hear back. I move on. Simple as that. So anyway, let's get into our topic. So what are we going to be talking about today? I'm going to be providing you my own assessment, and this is based on my own understanding, not from an economic perspective, because I am not an economist, but from a geopolitical aspect, because when you think about the economy and geopolitics or finance or whatever, they all go hand in hand. So what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the current state of the UK's economy. Now, I felt comfortable putting in the title, the UK's economy, the collapse from within. Why did I say this? Like I always say, guys, I don't do random. There is always a reason for that. And the reason I put that key term there of collapsing is because you have to go back about 15 years, when you will realize, if you dig enough and know where to look for the information, you will now notice that the economy of the UK was stagnant. Yeah, all those years. Of course, London or the government of whomever prime minister, all of them incompetent. Look at just how many prime ministers went through, which is, sort of a record. all of them, of course, you're going to have to project a different picture for the British citizens. Of course, they're going to have to project a different picture because they want to keep the narrative going as far as we are strong in supporting the United States in its effort for Ukraine, right? At the same time, we keep in Europe strong. All this is nothing but a lie, and this is what we're going to be talking about. And the question that I asked is, why is the government, British that is lying to the Brits? So I have two questions, key questions that I wanted to ask all of us. It's just part of the conversation. One is the UK's economy broken? In your opinion, guys, because I am interested in your opinion, is the UK's economy broken? And second thing, can it be fixed? And third question is the UK sort of economic conditions a reflection of the degradation of Europe? We all know where things are going. So, as a matter of fact, guys, this might shock you, and I just found out this morning that now the EU and NATO is going to be now calling, listen to this carefully, they're going to be calling about some Chinese infrastructure or investments in Eastern Europe, and they, NATO and Europe, wants Europe to take over those. That tells me the story right there. And this is where we're going to be digging into all this, because the way it looks to me from outside in is that the UK's economy has been failing. You know, despite what the government is pretending. And I'm going to share with you just few headlines to give you an idea how much Western media collectively, this is why you look at the titles. Sometimes the keyword that I can tell you guys is look for the keyword. There will be one or two keywords that all media outlets will share in their headlines. So, and this one here, it has to do with the word fastest growing. And I'm going to share all this with you. So the average question that for us, average people, we're going to be asking is, I would say, ask any Brits, any UK citizens about the real cost of food, the real cost of other essentials, the rent, the electricity, the energy. You got the idea. Even the new PM, Kier Starmer, which is another incompetent, because right away he had to bow to the US pressure by saying what? You know, guys, you know what he said? He said that we're going to have to support Ukraine, while average Brits, and I am not speaking on behalf of British people, they can speak for themselves. What am I speaking about is the idea of how an economy in the UK reflects exactly what is going on in Europe. Even though the governments in Paris, Berlin, Madrid, Stockholm, you name it, or London for that matter, they all providing a different picture. Even our government right here across the ponds saying, oh, inflation went down, or the economy has grew, or the economy created more jobs. All this nothing but a lie. Our incompetent president doesn't know what he's talking about. You forgive the guy, and actually he needs to sort of go, man. You need to go relax for the last few years left, or days, or months, or whatever that is. We wish him well, but that's where it ends up. And this is where you see now the Prime Minister of the UK providing a different picture, because this narrative started before the elections. I didn't want to cover that at that time. Why? Because I knew right there. Why will I waste your time knowing that it's going to be another incompetent PM and the lies that's going to be coming out of, for example, BBC, for that matter? You know, nothing against BBC, but once I digged into this the last 48 hours. This is what I do, guys, to provide you the accurate information for you to have a better understanding. And I might not even need to do this one, because if I am to ask some of you who are joining us from England, you will be a better witness to what I'm saying. So if there is anybody from England here, I would greatly appreciate if you can reflect on what I'm talking about as far as the real cost of food, level of inflation, and other essentials that average citizen in the UK is struggling with. And this is where you see now the reflection of this typical Western incompetent leadership that is now across the board. And now the UK's economy is a reflection of this one here. So I had a chance to read an article, okay? And the article was published in June 9th, and I had to track the dates. Why is that? Because June 9th was the preparation for the elections, for the premiership, right? And I also compare it to what I read just about 2 days ago. And the one that I read from June 9th, and it was written by Essie Nelson, it was spot on. I couldn't agree more with her assessment. So, and I will provide you the link to all this one here. And basically what the article started with, and here is the quote from the article, based on none other than the former Prime Minister, the incompetent Rishi Sunak, said, and I quote, "Our economy has truly turned the corner," end of quote. That's to me like an insult to the average British citizen. But again, it's their country. They can decide whatever they want. They voted for another incompetent. The same thing for us here. It's becoming now the norm in the Western world. That's how it is. So, and this is what he said during the last week of the elections. That was the reason why I didn't want to cover it. But I'm not going to focus on all this one. So, and the reason why is because the data that they shared, okay, contradicts what the reality on the ground. The data that Sunak talks about saying that the British economy has exited from a recession, which is a lie, okay? And that is what I wanted to get into, knowing that the level of inflation was still high when you ask average citizen. You don't go ask the elites. The elites have no idea about the daily life of average citizen. And that's why I always never trusted those kind of statements coming out of governments, be they in Paris, be they in Washington, London, Berlin, you name it. Don't trust them at all, no matter what. So when you think about this one here, and the whole idea that this optimism that they were talking about, which was nothing but hypes anyway, indicating that the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, rose by about 2%, okay, from an earlier year. Well. When you consider what the Bank of England did a few years ago, you all remember, I think I did remember talking about this one for that one and so. So at the same time, when you read, and this is why I liked this article. The reason I like this article, because it provided both sides of the arguments. You know, I disagree with some of its content, but not in its entirety. You give credit where credit is due. So Nelson did a good job in providing this both sides of the argument, and let us decide. We, the consumers, we, the readers, let us decide for ourselves. So, and here is what part of what that argument is that economists, and here is where the trick that I did found was, are we talking about economists from within England or economists outside England? The article didn't mention that, because if it is from outside England, it's bad news for England. If it is from within, that means the government will have to rein in those kind of statements. Because you all know by now, you all know there is no more that freedom of expression per se. If you write now an article critical of the government, so that's it. They won't even publish it. I tell you this, for me, when I used to write articles for whomever, I had to clear them by the government. But guess what? I will push back if they tell me, well, Mr. O, you can't talk about this. Why not? It's a public domain. There is nothing that I discuss from my previous work, which is a highly sensitive classified, of course, and I respect the law. But for them to tell me, well, it's kind of like, no, give me a reason, logical reason. And this is why when the article said many economists, so it left you to think, but it doesn't matter. So economists, more and more of them are saying, you know what? It's going to take more than just this kind of symbols or indicators to change Britain's economy. and one that is from a stagnation that has been for the last 15 years to some sort of growth. They didn't say even moving from a stagnant economy to a performing economy, because do you know, Britain lacking access to energy, Britain lacking is the same for other countries in Europe. These sanctions that they were embarking on against Russia has backfired, and now even the new PM is pushing for more support for Ukraine. That tells you the story right now. And if we add to this, another element is the weak productivity that exists within the EU. And now within the UK. And now we're seeing it in Germany, we're seeing it in France, we're seeing it in some other countries. But you don't see it, for example, in Hungary. You don't see it, for example, in Serbia. And you know why that is, right? You're smart enough to know. And this is why NATO and the EU now is saying, you know what, we're going to have to rein in the Chinese ventures inside Europe. No, you have no right to do that, because those ventures have been entered into individual countries in a bilateral setting. You can create the rules and make them work only for you when it suits you. What kind of logic is that? This is exactly what the EU Council is doing to Hungary, wanted to strip it out of its right to vote. Why? Because Mr. Orban embarked on a peace mission. Come on. Where is this so-called democracy? Where is this so-called the rule of law? Where is this so-called we sort of respect the outcome of the vote? And that's exactly what NATO now is saying, and the EU. And this is part of why they are expanding to Asia. But we'll stay with England, because that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. So the idea of that this weak productivity, and like I said last time, England now has only two options. That's it. And again, I am not an economist. I am talking about, based on my experience, understanding how governments react to similar situations that I've been watching for the last 20 years. Two options. One of them, by the way, we do it right here. The first one is printing more money. Okay? And when I say print, you could also consider about borrowing. And the second one is to raise taxes. Now, in the case of England, when you have a weak productivity, when you have a stagnant economy, and when you have high taxes, when you have a struggling public service, underfunded, and let alone the cost of the healthcare, it's a reflection of a crumbling economy. Straightforward. There is no ifs and buts. And this is where the idea leads us to think about, is the government working for the people as it ought to be, as it should? Doesn't take genius to figure this out. Before I move deeper into this, I want to share with you a little bit of history of England, because again, I don't assume, guys, that everybody knows whatever. I'll go ahead and share it with you, and because it is very important. And I have some pictures that I need to show you. Those are, just to give you a heads up, it will be disturbing, but it's nothing like, YouTube should be okay with the pictures like that, because it's in the public domain. So we shouldn't have a problem with that one. So now let me talk about the history of Britain briefly. I have two key links that I'm going to put for you in the description. Should you have time, I will highly recommend you read them for your own knowledge, which defies the logic of what mainstream media is saying. So if we think about Britain's 20th century, like how the empire it was, of course it was the largest that the world has ever known. And what makes it even unique at that time, or even throughout history? Why? Because it was almost a small size of land, really small size, controlling a large population around the world. That's what I found very, very And the question we need to ask about ourselves based on this historical, and I read briefly. I don't assume. I don't. So, what's the word? I don't say that I read it in its entirety. No, there are some major encyclopedias. You can find them in sort of Cambridge University or some other academia or academic resources. You know, those are volumes that will take you forever to read. I don't claim that. No. What I read enough for me to understand where it was, how it moved, and how it ended. That is one of the things. One thing that I found that all the literature sort of converge on one specific statement or one specific element is that the empire, British back there, do you know where it drew its strength from? It was from violence. Yeah, it wasn't about modernization. It wasn't about the creation of jobs. It wasn't about the creation of infrastructure. It wasn't about this. It wasn't about that. It drew it through violence. And that was also what was confirmed by some scholars that I read. One of them is, she's a professor. Her name is Carolyn Elkins. And I'm going to share with you the link from her book. It's called The Legacy of Violence, A History of the British Empire. So for us now, we're going to just want to focus. And I'm going to focus only on geographical areas. For example, the Central America, the islanders, the Bahamas, all those, and of course, Africa. There are some other parts in Asia as well. We all know the history because it was the British government at that time that informed a policy about Africa. And you know how it happens? It was during the European meeting, the delegates that met in Berlin back in 1884, not 94, 84. It was a meeting that took place between 1884 and 1885. So what was the purpose of it? To divvy up the continent Africa. That's why. This is why it is always my belief, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Africa doesn't look for pity. Africa looks for opportunities. And this is what the Chinese have provided for the Africans. Of course, we saw it differently as a death trap. No, because Africans were looking for pity. They don't want a handout. They want opportunities. Opportunities based on the natural resources they have in their own countries. This is why you see now the Sahel region, especially those three countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, now they are forming a confederation. And now the ECOWAS is saying, no, you can't leave ECOWAS. I will say, go take a hike. We in this case, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, independent states, we decide what's good for us. And this is what Britain did back then. That's how they divvy up Africa. That's how they created the problems in Middle East or West Asia. That's how they created the problem in LAC between India and China, because they just went ahead and said, oh yeah, let's just draw this here. Had no clue because they were taking advantage of those. So, and what they end up doing, and I have the quote from the record here, it says, and I quote, they agreed, meaning the European delegates, they agreed to regulate the conditions most favorable to the development of trade and civilization, and to watch over the preservation of the native tribes, and to care for the improvements of the conditions of their morale and material well-being. End of quote. All this jargon, all it means was we're going to have to make sure that we show some sort of we care, but in reality, we are draining the continent out of its resources to serve our own interest. So the Queen, when she was alive, she didn't do a damn thing to Africans. She stole all the wealth from them. That's all it was. So, and after the Great War, the League of Nations members divided up the former Germany and Ottoman Empire. You all know how it is. What comes after it is the Treaty of Versailles. And here is the key about the Treaty of Versailles. One key word. It's called the territorial spoils. They didn't call it that. They called them mandates. that they were inhabited by people not yet able to stand by themselves under the strenuous conditions of modern world. End of quote. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. If you are to see and decipher the message in this, what they were saying back then during the Treaty of Versailles, it shows you right there. The intentions has always been to maintain the control over the resources, over the population, and not let them prosper. This is why you are seeing this push from the West towards Asia, NATO and the EU. It's because the prosperity, the economic prosperity, the West doesn't want to see that moving forward. I'll give you 2 examples, and I'm going to have a guest, by the way, who knows a great deal about this part of the world, and he lives in the area. 2 countries that I'm going to give you example of: Vietnam and Cambodia. And this is exactly why the history of Britain is dark. That's the only way I can say. It was another article that I came across written by Sunil Kilnani. Sunil. Sorry if I mispronounced this one here. And I couldn't agree more. The title says the British Empire was much worse than you realize. And I'm going to share with you, and I'll share with you just a paragraph here. And I quote, more than a half century after the British Empire entered its endgame, historians are now nowhere near the full assessments of the carnage shrouded by its brutally canned and later by administrators' bonfire of documents as they prepared for the last boat out. So, and this we're talking about, South Africa, from South Africa to India, Ireland, Palestine, Malaysia, that is, Kenya, Cyprus, and you name it. You name it. You guys got the idea. And I'm going to share the links with you to understand why all this is very, very important for you to understand. So let's get back to our analysis about the UK's economy here. So now, what happened is that a poll was conducted in the UK. So, and that was really before the elections, right? And you know what it shows? It shows that most wants to eject the governing Conservative Party. They don't want, because no party, Labour or Conservatives, 2 faces of the same coin. The same arguments we have right here in the United States. Republicans and Democrats, 2 faces of the same coin. You will think people will wake up. You will think they will wake up. This is in both locations. They're not allowing independent parties to speak out. They're not allowing independent party to enter into the process because they know majority of people will go with this. But again, you blame the people, not just the government. The people also have to take responsibility. So straightforward. I'm going to sugarcoat that. So, and here is what happened is that after 14 years, this is what the survey found, 14 years, because the Conservative Party took over for a while. So the stagnation of the economy is a reflection of how bad things are in England, even though the Conservative or their Labour Party now, they're saying the economy is, no. They are lying to the average citizen. And why? Because the numbers do not lie. They show, if you look at them from elsewhere, if you look at from within England, like articles coming out of BBC, you're going to have to really, really, really think twice about what you are consuming or what you are reading. So even the incompetent David Cameron, the Prime Minister, you know what he blamed? He blamed this degradation in the economy on reducing government spending. No, this is the guy who is advocating for sending more money to Ukraine. It's just beyond me. And why is this? Because Britain has embarked on a severe austerity program, and that was even confirmed by an economist. Her name is Anna Valero. She's an economist at the LSE, London School of Economics, and she's like, there is no way this economy is gonna rebound because this program of austerity was so deep, and therefore limiting the recovery. It's common sense. You create more severe programs, austerity programs, that is, you giving the citizen or the consumer no other choice. There is no extra money to spend on stimulating the economy. And the second thing, you'll be asking yourself, why am I paying taxes for, only to go to some corrupted countries? This is now the problem that I've been having with my own government here, which is corrupted and incompetent. I have no reason for my tax dollars to be going to Jordan, to be going to Egypt, to be going to Ukraine, Israel, or what have you. I have no problem of helping other countries in need. Now that I have no problem with. I'll be the first one to say, you know what? You give a helping hand if you can do it. And we can do it. But to be sending money to corrupted governments? No. You have no right to do that. But again, because we got a population that is so manipulated, so ill-informed, they don't know day from night. And that is part of where the problem in the UK. So when you hear that now where the economy is fast rebounding, it's a lie. It's a lie, because many economists, and once again, economists, are they inside or outside? That's why they are arguing about the stagnation of the British economy. And it's only getting worse. And that's why I'm saying UK's economy, the collapse from within. Literally from within. Because here's the thing. If you look at the economic data and so forth, what you're going to find? You're going to find that the living standard, going back some 14, 15 years, from that time on to today, you're going to look, you're going to notice that the stagnation of the economy, the stagnation in wages, because what happened? The wages will have to adjust to inflation. As you all know, this is basic. Don't have to be an economist to understand this one here. So, but here is the thing, is that the inflation are roughly at the same level they were back in 2007, meaning the wages back then. Well, if you think about the inflation today and compare it to 2007, in a simple language, the pound, the British pound, what you could buy back in 2007, you won't be able to afford it. Or probably it is 5 or 6 times that amount. It's like for us, what I can buy today, what I could buy, or rather last year or the year before for $100, now it's going to cost me $150. So where is this fast growth of the economy and so forth? And this is why there is another professor, an academic by the name Diane Coyle. She said and argued, and I quote rather, we have to recognize that this is a pretty deep hole that the economy get into. Straightforward. So when you think about this decade, let's just go back to 2014. From 2014 to now, this decade and a half, the lost wages growth, meaning what? If you are in Britain, you'll notice this, that the wages are stagnant. The same thing we have here. The same thing now Germany and France are facing, and soon to be Scandinavians. So has cost the average worker now £10,700, about $13,000 a year, according to Resolution Foundation. This is a research organization, and I'm going to provide you the link, guys. So middle income Brits are about 20% poorer than their peers in Germany, and 9% poorer than those in France. So when you think about it, now there are those who will blame it on Brexit when the UK left the EU. That's their decision from an economic or political aspect is subject to very, very debate rather. So for us now, we focusing on this economy aspect of it, that Should we be fair in saying, and I'm going to ask you the question, please just put yes or no. Should we be fair in saying that the Britain's economy is broken? Yes or no, in your opinion? Is British economy broken? I'd like to see your input, please. Global report, Global X report, you wrote the same as in Canada. You're right. Canada is going some downhole. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. So, Cosmo Ray, you say yes. Hamed City, yes. Root Seeker, yes. Marcian Dorsey, yes. Ramples 01, yes. Who else? Lena Gavin, you say yes. Global X report, it's dead. Steve Frith, you say yes. Ranking T, yes. So you guys got the idea. Army with Harmony, corrupt and broken. Same here. So you guys get the point. And that's exactly the reality of it. Except that when you read, because that's what gets me into all this. I couldn't stand the lies. You can't mislead the population this way. And again, I am not doing it because about the Brits. No. I'm doing it because of what's right. They can't be misleading people like that. So if I could just at least provide my own insights or assessments to provide you the facts and let you reach your own conclusions. So, and here is why, part of why that the economy is broken in England, because there is no investments. It is no investments. The same for us in the US. What are we investing in? We're investing in weapons. What China invests on, what Vietnam invested on, what Cambodia invested on, what Malaysia invested on, what Indonesia invested on. You guys got the idea. So, and this is where, when you have sort of the tax burden that is now Brits have to deal with, which, by the way, is the heaviest in the last 70 years that they are dealing with. And this is why I am leaning towards the term collapse, because that's what it is. So when you think about, for example, their social care, so you have about 7 million cases are now on the waiting list for the social care services, whatever. Why? Because it's severely underfunded. Because the money is going to weapons, is going to Ukraine, corrupted Ukraine. Yeah. So, and I got some images I'm going to share with you. I don't know which one is this one here. No, I will get to this soon. Let me just show you. This is the pound, the currency. We give credit to Getty Images, by the way. That's their picture here. So if you are to go back and think about the last 4 prime ministers, including the idiot or the incompetent one, you all know. It's all about just hypes. What have they done for the British? And by the way, there is a picture here. This was taken yesterday, just yesterday. And this is from his own Instagram account. I had to go and dig into some information. And you know what was the conversation between the idiot Boris Johnson and the incompetent Trump? You know what it was about? Ukraine. Now, who the heck are you to be even talking about? You're not an official, elected official. It shows you right there. So all the last prime ministers, including the idiot one, also. This is we give credit to the BBC. That's their picture. Another idiot, because what this guy happened to him. This is another picture. This is by Darren Staples. And that's his picture here. It shows the fast rise and the fast fall of the incompetent Sunak. The guy wasn't even qualified for the position to begin with. And not just him. You take, what's her name? Strauss, the lettuce thing, whatever you call her. I don't know why they call her lettuce anyway. Shortest period, 49 days. Not qualified for the position. So why the heck embarrassing yourself by having this kind of incompetent leaders taking place? And now you have the top of the idiocy now. There is the guy. As I said again, two faces of the same coin. And I have nothing against the guy. I don't even know the guy. I don't need to know the guy. But I can just tell his first action was to give a call to Biden when he won the elections and said, hey, whatever you need, Mr. President, I am your servant. I am your loyal servant. This is what's problematic about stuff like this. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show you an image here from the history archives. This is the original Aborigine people and what the Brits have done to them. And there are other horrible images in Africa as well. And this is why you have the governments of Australia, Canada, New Zealand, all, and some in the Caribbean, all of them have to sort of part of the Commonwealth of the Britain or royalty, whatever you call it. That's to me is pathetic that at this time, at this age, this day and age, we still have kingdoms. I don't know. I never believed in kingdom. I have nothing against whomever, the king or whatever, but I don't care for all this. But to me, just like, wow, we still have this kind of mindset. It's problematic. So, and that's to me the concern for all this. Now, when you think about why I use the term crumbling, the collapse, the failing, all those terms convey one particular message. And that message is reflected through what's going on in society. You take, for example, housing in the UK. The rent is at a record high. And I wish we have somebody from Britain with us here in the community watching and listening right now. If you can please confirm this one if you are from England. So the regulations that now the government's coming up with, that's like, they're just making it worse because the government doesn't know what to do. They're just reacting the wrong. I gotta plug the computer, but I have to make sure I don't hit. I gotta clear up the sound to make sure. All right, let me see. Okay, I'm still on. And that's the whole idea. You think about the energy. The UK is also lacking access to energy. Whether they used to bring it from England or not, is beside the point. The whole Europe, and this is what I'm saying. When you look at the UK, you look at a reflection of Europe, degradation economy, or degrading economy, because that's what it is. No exception. Germany is getting even bad. When you hear, I heard one of their football star, the guy who plays soccer, when known, his name is Tony Cruz, for those who know soccer, and I follow up on it a little bit. He said Germany is violent society. I can't live there. And he's about to retire. He decided to live in Spain. That just shows you. And later along, the economy of Germany is going down. All of them saying, no, we are not in a recession. It is a lie. It is a lie. Because you have no upgrades to infrastructure. You have difficulties having cheap energy. You are not, wages are stagnant. And the cost of items are going up. What do you expect people to do? Even the food banks. The food banks, where they have food for the homeless one, they don't have enough. And there are now endless complaints, according to the article, endless complaints about the potholes that exist over the country, not just in London. This is across the country. The same thing for us here. When you go downtown on the other side of Dallas, when you go to certain areas in New York, Timeline Dunkley, you are in New York. You know what I'm talking about. When you go to certain areas in LA and you see how the infrastructure is crumbling, people living in the street, in tents. And this is the richest nation on earth. Where is that? Why are we sending our money to Ukraine for? And that is why when you get this incompetent leader, they are not able to produce because they were never qualified for the position. And this is why you are hearing more and more about NATO. and the EU heading out to Asia. Why? Because they wanted to slow down by any means the progress of Asia's economy. It's because it's going to expose, Asia's growing economy, or the growth is going to expose the weakness of the West, that the system is not working anymore. This is what this is all about. So, and the idea that it was also another article from the Financial Times. I know sometimes I read their stuff and I disagree with it, but sometimes they get the point on. And I came across one particular article written by Daniel Susskind, and I'm going to post it for you. And basically, it was about the reckoning economy in England, how bad it is. So, backlogged and broken public service. So when UK government talks about growth, it's a lie. It's a lie. There is no way. And do you guys know that the UK has already crossed the mark in a national debt of £1 trillion? Think about it. This is where part of where those problems are, and it's just not a what I'm seeing, guys, is the reflection of what's taking place in entire Europe. You know what they're saying about, oh, this is now we're growing. No. The economy is saying it's expected to grow about 0.6%. Actually, it did for the first quarter, 0.6%. What is that? Even though some articles saying, oh, by the way, the UK economy has exited the recession. No, it's a lie. And that was exactly during the time when the incompetent Sunak took over, because it was said before he took over. So that just, you guys got the idea. And I'm not going to beat the dead horse here. You got the idea of what this is all about. So, all right, I am going to entertain some of your questions here. By the way, one of you guys asked me to consider doing a video about what took place in South China Sea. I'm going to just show you an image. Are you guys familiar with the electronic warfare that took place? And it took place in South China Sea. I was aware of it. I didn't want to talk about it because I wasn't certain of certain aspects of it. And when I'm not certain, I can embark on whatever. Now I get the full picture. And so if this is something you guys would like me to address, I will be happy to do it. I might even put a survey for it if you would like me to cover this one here. So, all right, I want to say thank you to the channel. So, by the way, guys, I am in preparation now for the planning phase for my Asia trip. Everything is in place as far as administration. All the question now left for me, which I will get on within the hour, to start to put the planning on paper. So I am going to Asia. I will not disclose the time. To those who've been supporting the channel, the Asia trip, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it's you that is supporting this trip. And I'm going to make it clear when I'm in that part of the world to disclose this publicly. I want it to be clear, transparent, and you all know where I stand on this stuff. So, but I want you to know I am in the planning phase right now, and I will be working on it this afternoon at 1400 hours to start putting the dots on the letter as far as the timing, locations, and what I intend to do. Because this is, to me, it's not about tourism. I am not going for tourism. If I wanted to do that, I'll do that on my own, because that won't be right of me to do so. And you are helping me financially with that. That won't be right of me to do so. But I am going for some other purpose. So I just wanted to let you know. I am working on it, and it will happen soon. So for that, I want to say thank you to those who've been supporting the channel, both the channel and the Asia trip. I'd like to single out some of you. Of course, I can't remember all. TC Kwan, Hosiris, Jules Lian, Army with Harmony, Masian. I mean, there are so many of you guys. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you. And I mean it when I say that. So, there are some individual, but that individual asked me personally not to disclose the name, and I intend to honor that till my dying date, when I die. So, for PayPal, because he or she truly sent some. It was so generous of the individual. I'm very grateful for that, and I wish if I get the green light from him or her, I'll disclose that a substantial amount of money that was willing. So I'm very grateful to that person. If you are listening, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for that. And to all others, whenever you can afford at that time. So, and now for my books, guys, I got a response from the publisher. Guess what they said? That they do have the right for the book for 70 years. I'll be gone by then. But there are some tricks into all this, the legality, which I intend to reach out to a lawyer to get the ins and outs of understanding what does it mean. So I don't want to sell my book for $80. No, I will not do that. And if I want to sell it, I'll sell it at my own price, which will be about literally $15, $20 max. That's about it. Because to me, no. Just to cover the fees for the platform and so forth. But anyway, I already have 2 books there for like $10 or whatever. Should you decide, here is the link. You guys can click on it and check it out. And I'm very, very grateful for your support. All right, let me answer some of your questions. And let me change this one to channel here. And I'm very excited about the upcoming trip to Asia. Truth Seeker, thank you so much for let me share it on the screen here. You guys see this one. Truth Seeker is another individual also. Not because he put the super sticker here. No. I've been around long enough now to know. So there are some of you that supporting the channel behind the scenes. You guys do not know. Some ask for anonymity. They just, that's how they are. I'm one of those people. When I do something, I do not like my name to be mentioned. That's just how I look at it. So will you still have conversation with us when you are in Asia? I am going to be working on this to figure it out, how it works, because there are certain regulations in each country. Okay. And I'm already looking into this and reaching out to embassies, asking their permission if it will be okay to do so. Second thing is the technical aspect. You take the case of China. China doesn't use YouTube there. There's no YouTube inside. So I got to figure out a way. And even Jerry himself said, I'd be happy to help you out with all this because he lives in China. So we'll see. Now, of course, I will be communicating with you. I'm not going to disappear. I will be communicating with you because I want to do certain live while I am in the area, whatever that might be. So the short answer, Truth Seeker, is yes, I will. And thank you for your support. Truly appreciate you for that. All right, let me see a question here from you guys. And once again, I appreciate you for keeping the conversation civil. That means a lot to me. So it's a different community. Everybody that I invite, and by the way, this is not a reflection on me. It is a reflection on you guys. Everybody that I invite, I get an email later. Sandira, what a wonderful community you got. And I mean it. It's not, and I said, yes, they are. They are respectful. They will disagree with you if they don't like, for example, that your arguments or whatever doesn't make sense, but they will voice that respectfully. And all my guests enjoy that very much and say, please tell them thank you. So I'm saying thank you to you on their behalf. So And as I said, I am working on something for soon with two special guests. And those are, one of them is a friend of mine. The other person, you've seen her before. And yes, very, very interesting individuals, especially the topics we're going to be covering. Now, I'm going to go back to Timeline Dunk League. Your first question when we started here, you had something. I'm scrolling all the way up. All right. Right here, Timeline Dunk League. Will Britain have epiphany and move away from America's government? Will they think about the British people and their economy? The short answer is no. It will never happen. It's because when we took over the Brits, we had to fold them under our own authority. So the Brits will never do that. Now, the rest of Europe, so far, I'm not seeing any signs whatsoever. Even Scandinavians, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, and so forth. I used to think they were independent, neutral. They're not anymore. So Europe is done for. Sad to say. When I say done for, politically speaking, they still can revive their economy if they choose to. But they don't have a will, political will, that is. So the short answer is no. So, let me see another question. Matt Becky, good to see you as always. Hiri Local, good to see you as always. Boycott, good to see you. Hiri Local, you're right. No, UK is a champion ignoring the problems. That's true. You're right, Hiri Local. You're right. I'm even concerned now about where Netherlands is heading. Especially with Filders. If you know who Filders is, he took over now in the government. So, and their former prime minister now is going to be the NATO secretary. So you can just see he was never equipped for that, for the premiership to begin with. So, let me see a question here. Question, JC, is it true that a comedian, I don't call him president, I call him comedian President Zelensky. So is it true that comedian President Zelensky is worth $1.4 billion? I don't know. All I know is that he purchased real estate here in the US and another real estate in Italy, to my knowledge. That's I'm aware of. So, but he's not gonna enjoy that at the end anyway. Once the dust settles, they're gonna take him out. Simple as that, because that's what the government does. All right, let me see one more question. And by the way, guys, tomorrow, remember to join me and Elizabeth on the other channel. I will be talking tomorrow about the EU, NATO, Asia, and so forth. There's a lot of stuff going on with these topics, and you guys need to know some other aspects of it. And by the way, I hope you got a chance to look at the video we released this morning from the other channel, the conversation we had with Dr. Warwick Powell. So very, very, very insightful guy. Very insightful. One of you guys, by the way, I'll share it with you, asked me if I can reach out to the leader of Khalinistan to invite him for an interview. What do you guys think? You all know what's going on with Khalinistan, right? So I'm thinking. M. White, question, how can we in the UK? So you are in the UK. Are you if you are in the UK, please just confirm or deny what I said. Was it true that the food prices going up, the rent, housing, and other essentials, energy, and so forth? Is the economy in UK collapsing? Since you are there, Question, how can we in the UK? How can we in the UK from sliding into further degradation? What can citizens do to pull themselves out? Well, you vote out the government. If you vote them in, you should have the right to vote them out. This is when now I am starting to question. I've been questioning this approach to so-called democracy or voting. Even like for Xi Jinping in China, there are those here in the West saying, "Oh, he wants to be a lifetime president." No, it's the Chinese people that wants him there. So if the Chinese people don't want him there, they're gonna vote him out. Simple as that. So why aren't we having that here? Or in the UK in that case? So my suggestion is, and when I say for the UK, it applies to us here. Vote them out. Get them out of the office. Request that you guys need to step out. You ask peacefully first, and there are other means of doing it. But again, some, not all, some British citizens are hallucinating into this long live the king and all that. They're just so poor, manipulated, knowing that their tax dollars are going to support the lifestyle of the monarchy. But the monarchy has enough money from what it stole over the years from Africa, India, Asia. You got the idea. So, all right, I'll take the last question here, guys, and I'm gonna Francis Tango, Dr. O, are you also going to work in China? Someone just sent me some names of some key universities. I'm going to reach out to them. Then we'll see. My background could, if it works out, yeah, why not? I'm not closing that door, because I like teaching. It's just part of my personality. And if I have something to offer, why hold it back? Because to me, it will be wrong. If I have knowledge and I am sitting on it, what's the point? That's and yeah, if there is an opportunity for teaching in China, that will be a good fit for both of us. When the university looks at for potential a professor, the professor will have also to look for, is that a good fit for me? This is why I left Texas A&M. Texas A&M is so big here in Texas, but to me it was like it's not worth it. It's corrupted, and I don't shy away from saying these things. I even had to challenge the dean of the department, because to me it was like, no, because you want me to cut corners when it comes down to the welfare of my students. And I said, hell no, I will not do it, even if I have to resign and leave, because they were under that impression that I am sort of, my life centers around this job. No, I said, no way. The welfare of the students is my responsibility. And if you are going to undermine me by cutting corners, I am resigning. And they thought I was bluffing. And I said, we're done here. No further conversation is warranted. So if there's a good fit, yes, I will do it. And I am going to be looking. I'm going to disclose this to you guys. Why not? Because you're my community here. I already sent a communication to one of the universities. So we'll see. Okay, let me see if there is one question here. Now, who is this one here? And for make 2 videos every day. No, doesn't work that way. No, it won't work. It just won't work. But thank you for your suggestion, by the way. Okay. Francis Tango, Dr. O doesn't talk about Netherlands. Yeah, I don't do much, but I'd be happy to do a coverage for you about it. If you guys want me to address Netherlands, let me know from which angle you want me to talk about. and I'd be happy to do it. The only thing I cannot disclose to you is the military aspects, because there are some things inside Netherlands that even the Dutch people have no idea about. So, and now that I can't talk about. So, okay. Oh, question from Army with Harmony for everybody. Anyone have images of Trump's ear tissue damage anymore? Anyone? Yeah, I don't pay attention to all that stuff because something wasn't all right. No, so that's why now we are blaming Iran for that. That's ridiculous. Oh, Heri Local, thank you very much. You wrote good luck. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, I'm gonna sign off here, and I might do live stream for you on Friday. Nothing is confirmed yet, and we'll just go from there. By the way, I am working on 3 videos for you. One short one, and one is the last panel discussions that I participated in. Usually, it's a big panel. I don't think so. I'm gonna do it again. It's because there is not enough time. When you have a large panel of 10 people, you don't get a chance to express whatever you need to talk about. Nothing against it. It's just I'm not going to do it next time. If they reduce the number of the panel to 4, 3 max, I'll be happy to do it. But I'm going to share the videos with you. Nonetheless, I'm still going to be supporting that initiative. It's called the Multipolar Peace Initiative. I'm still going to be part of it. It's just for certain panel discussions. I'm not going to withdraw from some. I might participate in some. The other video that I'm preparing for you, it will be of interest. And based on that video, I don't want to disclose the topic right now. Based on that, I'm going to be inviting 2 guests simultaneously, a panel discussion here about this particular topic. The third one is from a sponsor who reached out to us, and they said, can you please do a video for us because of the analysis you provide? And I agreed. That it's a business decision, guys. I'm sure you understand that you have to do what you have to do for that. And and it wasn't interesting because I approached it from a key aspects, and it will make more sense when that's released. I will let you know to watch it, please, and help spread that one, or just click the likes on it. I would greatly appreciate it. Speaking of clicking the likes, make sure to hit the likes on this video here. I will appreciate it. Zhao Yan, thank you, Doctor. You're most welcome. Zhao, and good to have you here. So, okay, guys, I wish you a good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the world you're in, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday if I decide to do live stream. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.